Welcome back to Journey with Jen, and I'm here today with my new friend, Miss Shirley Depew, and we are sitting in Athol, Idaho, in North Idaho. And welcome back to this channel where we talk about all things natural horsemanship. I met Shirley, about 6 months ago, and she just had so much information to share and such a big open heart that I just had to have her come and do a video. Actually, I came to her. And so, Shirley, can you tell us a little bit about your horse background?
Oh, sure. I've been training horses professionally and people for 40 plus years. And I've been under some pretty good trainers, Al Dunning for my reining training. And so I've had some good experience with a lot of good trainers. But what's really taught me the most has been the horses themselves.
Yes, the teachers.
Yes, they are considered professional people teachers.
Love that. I love that.
Yep, and they are.
Yes, that's very true. I agree with that. They are the best teachers, our friends and our teachers.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about how the horse's mind is different.
Yes, he is very simple-minded. He understands yes and no, but what he doesn't. He doesn't have any depth perception, and so he has to trust his rider in order for him to be able to do these things that you're asking him to do. How you build that trust is by being a good leader.
And tell me what leadership means to you.
Oh, leadership means when you have a companion, because that's what he is your friend, he's your companion, because when you get on him, you have no legs. He now becomes your legs. So he has to do your commands, and if you don't know how to tell him how to do those commands, he doesn't know where to plant his feet unless you tell him. So you build that trust by moving his feet forwards, backwards, left, and right. And you always, always, always reward the slightest try. Now let me explain that, because there's some people out there that say that that's the wrong term. When you're teaching a horse something, it's like giving him a puzzle. And in that, when you give him that puzzle, he learns from the release of the pressure, but you don't release that pressure until he finds the right answer. So that's the puzzle.
Where's the release?
Exactly. He's looking for that release because the release is telling him that he did the right thing. So if you become a leader with that horse, you're teaching him to do what you're asking him to do, and he in turn then will follow what you ask him to do.
So building leadership then is building communication.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
How do you do that with your students? How do you build communication?
First of all, they got to have the knowledge to be able to do that, and that is the knowledge of how the horse thinks, why he does the things he does, and why he thinks the way he thinks. Because he is a prey animal, which making him a prey, or what makes him a prey animal is the fact that his eyes set on the side of his head. So he's kind of like a deer, an elk, or something on that order. And so nature put into him that if anything, or if you even think that anything is going to get you, run.
Run first.
That's his first, yes. So that's his, what we call the reactive side of his brain. Okay. He reacts to something rather than thinks it through. Mm-hmm. So when a horse is born with that, you'll never ever breed out that reactive side ever. It's kind of like the wild side of an animal. You'll never breed that wildness out of them. And same way with a horse. But what you can do with a horse is you can teach him to use more of that thinking side of his brain. When the horse is on the thinking side of his brain, he slows down, he quiets down, and he relaxes. So in order for my students to gain the safety with their horse, is they build that safety and that relationship with their horse by knowing what they're doing, knowing why they're doing what they're doing, and they know how to do what they need to do. So knowledge is power. Power builds confidence. Confidence builds leadership.
Love that.
In just that order.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you have a lot of experience with a couple breeds of horses that have come into your life and kind of adopted
Yes.
you. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. For many years, I started out with the Appaloosa horse breed. I love the Appaloosa horse, and this is why. I call him basically a colored quarter horse. And it's because I guess I'm the kind of person, I like things that are unique. I like one-of-a-kind things. I don't like things to all be the same. So I chose the Appaloosa horse because of their intelligence, because of their athletic ability, their trainability, their beauty, but their uniqueness of their markings. You will never see two Appaloosas exactly alike, ever.
It's true.
You can go to a quarter horse show and you can see bays and chestnuts and blacks and sorrels, and some of them may have all four white feet, but maybe one's got a star and the other one's got a strip on his face. So sometimes it's kind of hard that, they kind of all look the same. Mm-hmm. With the Appaloosa horse, they're all different. They're all unique in their coat markings. That's one of the reasons I like them, is because of that uniqueness in them. Their intelligence, yes, but as the years went by, I stood my own stallion, bred my mares, had my babies, trained them, showed them, had a lot of fun with them. But then as the years went by and I got older, I come across many years ago, this is really crazy, many years ago, I had my first trainer, my first teacher, I should say, she had a friend that raised Paso Fino horses. And so I was introduced to them many, many, many years ago. And I thought at the time, gee, this would be kind of fun having a novelty of a Paso Fino horse. And their smoothness of gait and their fire, and they were just really neat. I really liked them. But I still liked my bumpity bump stuff, So I just kind of set them on a back burner. But as years went by and the more I rode and things like that, I got to the point to where it was harder for me to, the old bones just don't want to work like they used to. So I had a friend one time that found a couple of Paso Fino horses, and she bought them and didn't know what to do with them. And so she called me and said, hey, could you, make some training on these little Pasos I got? So I thought, yeah, sure, because I messed with them years ago. And oh my gosh, I discovered they're smart, they're willing, they're a totally different type of a horse. Their reaction is different than your quarter horse. They love to be more in your pocket. They love to follow you around. They love to be with you. They're just a totally different type of horse. Their intelligence is phenomenal. They're very, very smart. They don't like to argue with you. And I think that's probably what drew me to them. But what really drew me to them was their beautiful, beautiful gait. They have that 4-beat natural lateral gait that is just phenomenal to ride.
Can you explain the gait of the Paso Fino? What you mean when you say it's lateral?
Yeah. When a horse, and this is something that in my teaching of my students, they not only learn the parts of the horse, and yes, they're tested, because I hold my classes like you would hold a schoolroom class, because they need to know this stuff. So when you learn how a horse moves, because when you get on his back, he becomes your legs, so you got to know where your legs are at. So I always tell my students, or I always ask my students, and I ask this of anybody, and everybody should know it, that own horses, and that is how many beats in a walk, trot, canter, and how do his feet work. So on an animal, on a 4-legged animal, whether it be a horse, a dog, a cat, doesn't matter, anything with 4 legs, all move the same way. Watch a giraffe sometime, okay? It's always hind foot, front foot, hind foot, front foot. So it's lateral. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when he walks, that's how he does it. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4.
So the right side and then the left side.
Right,
And the right side and the
right,
left side.
yes.
Okay.
Now in the trot, you have a 2-beat gait, right? That's because you have 2 feet land together. But that's on the diagonal, not the lateral, the diagonal. So in a trot, you'll have a hind foot opposite front foot land together. So you get a 1, 2, 1, 2.
Do the Paso Finos trot?
Yes, they can walk, trot, canter just like any other regular horse. They just have 2 extra gears. One of them is called, the slowest of the gears is called the corto, and the fastest is called the largo, or the long walk. The Paso Fino, again, he basically what he does is he speed walks.
Okay.
That's exactly what he does. He speed walks. So it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's just fast.
Okay.
That's what makes it so smooth.
I see.
And can you teach a horse how to do that? Yeah, you probably could. He would never, it's not, for the Paso Fino, it's not trained in, it's bred in. And the Paso Fino horse is 3 different breeds, 3 different breeds make up the Paso Fino horse.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And as the old story goes, when Columbus came to South America, he brought the finest Andalusian stallions that he could find in Spain. And he brought them aboard his 3 ships. And when he got close to land that he thought was the Americas, but it was the South America, he pulled them up out of the hulls of these ships and threw them overboard. And the stallions that swam to shore, that made it to shore, that lived, bred with the Spanish horses that the conquistadors had left in South America. And then in South America, there was a little horse that was called a genet. And it is now extinct from what I understand. I'm not sure, but that's what I understand, that particular breed is extinct. And that's where the gait comes from, is from the genet.
And maybe the size?
And the size, yeah. Your genet is a very small breed of horse. But if you look at a Paso Fino and you look at his head, that's your Andalusian.
Yes. Okay, I see it. Okay.
Yes. And they get that thick mane and tail from the Andalusian, and they get the bulkiness from the Andalusian. Anyway, that's where they come from, and but their gait is not something that you train in. But the corto, when my horses, or I ride a Paso with somebody that has a quarter horse, I go into the corto where mine is like you sitting in that chair and me pushing you down the sidewalk. Okay, right. Okay. Where the other person on the horse is bounce, 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 bounce.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Very
it's
nice.
a 2-beat, so it's
That must
totally
be nice
different.
for your back then.
Oh, absolutely. So people with bad backs, bad hips, anything like that, you can ride a Paso and be comfortable.
Are there many
and still enjoy them.
Paso Finos up in Idaho?
They're slowly moving this way. How they got introduced into this country was after World War II. The men that came back from the war, from World War II, went to Puerto Rico and found them in Puerto Rico and fell in love with them. And when they came back to the States, they brought them with them. So you'll find an awful lot more of the Paso Fino horse down in the Florida, down in the East Coast area, and they're slowly moving this way. But a lot of people don't know how to handle them because they're what we call brio. They're kind of like, not to say anything bad about the Arabian horse because I love the Arabian horse, but I've had people say to me, oh, then they must be like an Arabian horse but only with brains.
That's terrible.
I know. That's not the way I say it, but that's what's been told to me.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, I guess you could maybe say that. They're what we call brio, which is, it's an excitement. It's a fire, but it's a controlled fire. It's a fire that's easily controlled. Where with the Arabian horse, when his fire is going, good luck. You really got to know what you're doing to handle them.
On your toes.
But yeah, they have a lot of fire in them, and that's one of the things I like about them. They have that excitement, and it's fun. It challenges you mentally.
For you, Shirley. Thank
Okay.
you so much for all of your wonderful information, and I love that you know how to share it. You have this gift for communication. Not only can you do it, but you can share your knowledge with others, and you have such a generous heart about doing that. When you share your hard-earned knowledge with people, you're really helping the horses that are in those people's lives. So thank you. For
Absolutely.
having such a big heart. That's really
Absolutely.
What drew me to you, is your big heart.
Yep. I would like to have people, if you want to learn and you're really dedicated and you really, really want to learn, come and see me. I am more than willing to share all of my knowledge with you that I can share. But I'm willing to give. You just have to give too.
Gotcha. I can link an email address or a way for people to contact you. What's the best way for people to contact you if they're interested in learning more from you?
Well, you can send me an email at loveofahorse@gmail.com.
Loveofahorse@gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay. So, you were saying to me earlier, I'm going to call this a Shirleyism, one of my favorite Shirleyisms. She's full of them too. This, you were saying horses teach people, then people teach horses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's in that particular order. And the reason I say that is because horses, if you're a beginner or you're a child and you're looking for a horse for your child, you certainly don't want to buy them something that is young, that doesn't know anything, because it's like signing your child's death warrant.
Oh, gosh. Is that pretty common?
Yes, it is. People think that way. You know, they think they're like a puppy. You know, the kid and the horse is going to grow up together. Wrong.
Beautiful idea on paper, right?
Yeah. No, it don't work that way.
I've seen that too.
No, baby horses grow up faster than baby children do,
That's
and
true, too. That's a whole
they
other
play with children like they would play with another foal, and
true.
they can get rough. And as a matter of fact, probably a lot of people don't know this, but this is the God's honest truth, and that is an hour-old foal can kick you in the upper part of your leg and break your leg.
Wow.
That's how much power they have as an
That's
hour
amazing.
old.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
It
I've
is.
never heard
They're
of it.
so strong, you can't even imagine how powerful they are. So this is why I tell people, if you're going to buy a horse for an inexperienced rider, I don't care the age. You're going to look for something that is extremely well trained, has no bad habits. Good luck on that one. But I guess in a sense what I say is find something that's got one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. And that way that horse can teach you what you need to learn and teach you, get your confidence level up, and they can teach you. And then once you've learned as much as you can learn from that horse, then you can progress and go buy something that's not as well trained. And that way you have an idea of what you're doing and how to do it.
And what makes a well-trained horse? You've written down that there's 4 things.
Yep, there's basically 4 things that make a well-trained horse. And that's wet saddle pads, long rides, concentrated training, and time. Dedicated time. If you're a weekend rider, find the one horse with the foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. Don't buy a young horse, because they need to be worked before they're ridden. They need to be put on the thinking side of their brain, and that's how you gain control of that horse's mind, is 3 different ways. You want to create movement, you want to redirect movement, or you want to inhibit movement.
And that's how you put your horse on the thinking side of the
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely guaranteed, no doubt about it. I do it all the time. You can take a horse out and he's fired up and he's flighty and he's nervous and he's jumping around, and you take him and start making him cross back and forth in front of you just as fast as his feet will move, and I can guarantee you in about 5 minutes he's walking, his head is down, and he's licking his lips.
So when his head is down, he's licking his lips.
That's a sign of relaxation, yes.
And he's on his thinking side
Yes.
of the brain. Has he
Yep.
then given up his union card?
Giving up his union card?
Another Shirleyism. I love it when you said that.
No, when he gives up his union card is when he finally submits to you. There's a big difference there. He does have to be on the thinking side of his brain, but there's got to be submission. So, that's something that we can get into later on, but you want to get him on that thinking side of his brain. So by changing direction with him, and it makes common sense if you think about it, okay? Because really that's all horse training is common sense. Just use some common sense and some creativity when you need to. But it's common sense. You're looking for a specific action or a reaction to an action, right?
Right.
So whatever action you decide to do, ask yourself what kind of a reaction you're going to get. And if it's not the same thing that you want, then you're going to have to think up a different action.
So would you approach that as starting with the end in mind and reverse engineering your
In a
training?
sense, yes. Yes, that'll work too.
Okay.
But you're looking for a specific action for this horse to do.
You mentioned that you have students that come to work with you, and the most important thing to you is safety. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Safety, in my opinion, is the most important thing in horsemanship that you can ever have. Because you can't train a horse if you're dead.
That's a good point.